The
Hi.
qualities of Moses, Canik, and when he attained his full strength, and was perfect, in manhood, we bestowed on him hukman, prophethood, right judgment of the affairs, and religious knowledge of the religion of his forefathers, that is, Islamic monotheism, and thus do we reward the muhsinin, that is, good doers. Quran Ayah 28 hours 14 minutes. Moses kills an Egyptian. Allah had granted Moses good health, strength, knowledge, and wisdom. The weak and oppressed turned to him for protection and justice. One day in the main city, he saw two men fighting. One was an Israelite, who was being beaten by the other, an Egyptian. On seeing Moses, the Israelite begged him for help. Moses became involved in the dispute and, in a state of anger, struck a heavy blow on the Egyptian, who died on the spot. Upon realizing that he had killed a human being, Moses' heart was filled with deep sorrow, and immediately he begged Allah for forgiveness. He had not intended to kill the man. He pleaded with Almighty Allah to forgive him, and he felt a sense of peace filling his whole being. Thereafter Moses began to show more patience and sympathy towards people. The next day he saw the same Israelite involved in another fight. Moses went to him and said, "You seem to be a quarrelsome fellow. You have a new quarrel with one person or another each day." Fearing that Moses might strike him, the Israelite warned Moses, "Would you kill me as you killed that wretch yesterday?" The Egyptian with whom the Israelite was fighting overheard this remark and reported Moses to the authorities. Soon thereafter, as Moses was passing through the city, a man approached and alerted him, Moses, the chiefs have taken counsel against you. You are to be tried and killed. I would advise you to escape." Moses kills an Egyptian. Canik. Moses knew that the penalty for killing an Egyptian was death. Allah the Exalted recounted, "And he entered the city at a time of unawareness of its people, and he found the two men fighting, one of his party, his religion, from the children of Israel, and the other of his foes. The man of his own party asked him for help against his foe, so Moses struck him with his fist and killed him. He said, "This is of Satan's doing. Verily, he is a plain misleading enemy." He said, "My Lord, verily, I have wronged myself, so forgive me." Then he forgave him. Verily, he is the oft-forgiving, the most merciful. He said, "My Lord, for that with which you have favored me, I will never more be a helper for the mujrimeen, criminals, disobedient to Allah, polytheists, sinners, etc." So he became afraid, looking about in the city, waiting as to what will be the result of his crime of killing, when behold, the man who had sought his help the day before, called for his help again. Moses said to him, "Verily, you are a plain misleader." Then when he decided to seize the man who was an enemy to both of them, the man said, Moses, "Is it your intention to kill me as you killed a man yesterday? Your aim is nothing but to become a tyrant in the land, and not to be one of those who do right." And there came a man running from the farthest end of the city. He said, Moses, "Verily, the chiefs are taking counsel together about you, to kill you, so escape. Truly, I am to you of those who give sincere advice." So he escaped from there, looking about in a state of fear. He said, "My Lord, save me from the people who are Salameen, polytheists and wrongdoers." Quran Ayah 28 hours 15 minutes -21. Moses leaves Egypt. Moses left Egypt in a hurry without going to Pharaoh's palace or changing his clothes, nor was he prepared for traveling. He did not have a beast of burden upon which to ride, and he was not in a caravan. Instead, he left as soon as the believer came and warned him of Pharaoh's plans. He traveled in the direction of the country of Midian, which was the nearest inhabited land between Syria and Egypt. His only companion in this hot desert was Allah, and his only provision was piety. There was not a single root to pick to lessen his hunger. The hot sand burned the soles of his feet. However, fearing pursuit by Pharaoh's men, he forced himself to continue on. Moses helped swim in shepherds. He traveled for 8 nights, hiding during the day. After crossing the main desert, he reached a watering hole outside Midian where shepherds were watering their flocks. No sooner had Moses reached Midian than he threw himself under a tree to rest. He suffered from hunger and fatigue. The soles of his feet felt as if they were worn out from hard walking on sand and rocks and from the dust. He did not have any money to buy a new pair of sandals, nor to buy food or drink. Moses noticed a band of shepherds watering their sheep. He went to the spring, where he saw 2 young women preventing their sheep from mixing with the others. Moses sensed that the women were in need of help. Forgetting his thirst, he drew nearer to them and asked if he could help them in any way. The older sister said, "We are waiting until the shepherds finish watering their sheep, then we will water ours." Moses asked again, "Why are you waiting?" The younger one said, "We cannot push men." Moses was surprised that women were shepherding, as only men were supposed to do it. It is hard and tiresome work, and one needs to be on the alert. Moses asked, "Why are you shepherding?" The younger sister said, "Our father is an old man. His health is too poor for him to go outdoors for pasturing sheep." Moses said, "I will water the sheep for you." When Moses approached the water, he saw that the shepherds had put over the mouth of the spring an immense rock that could only be moved by 10 men. Moses embraced the rock and lifted it out of the spring's mouth, the veins of his neck and hands standing out. As he did so, Moses was certainly strong. He watered their sheep and put the rock back in its place. He returned to sit in the shade of the tree. At this moment he realized that he had forgotten to drink. His stomach was sunken because of hunger. Moses helps women shepherds. Can Almighty Allah describe this event? And when he arrived at the water of Midian, he found there a group of men watering their flocks, and besides them he found 2 women who were keeping back their flocks. He said, "What is the matter with you?" They said, "We cannot water our flocks until the shepherds take their flocks, and our father is a very old man." So he watered their flocks for them. Then he turned back to shade, and said, "My Lord, truly, I am in need of whatever good that you bestow on me." Quran Ayat 28 hours 22 minutes minus 24. Moses finds a home among shepherds. The young ladies returned home earlier than usual, which surprised their father. They related the incident at the spring, which was the reason that they were back early. Their father sent one of his daughters to invite the stranger to his home. Bashfully, the woman approached Moses and delivered the message. "My father is grateful for what you have done for us. He invites you to our home so that he may thank you personally." Moses welcomed this invitation and accompanied the maiden to her father. Moses could see that they lived comfortably as a happy and peaceful household. He introduced himself and told the old man about the misfortune that had befallen him and it compelled him to flee from Egypt. The old man comforted him. "Fear not. You have escaped from the wrongdoers." Moses' gentle behavior was noticed by the father and his daughters. The kind man invited him to stay with them. Moses felt at home with this happy household, for they were friendly and feared Allah. Moses becomes a shepherd. One of the daughters suggested to her father that he employ Moses, as he was strong and trustworthy. They needed someone like him, especially at the water hole, which was visited by ruffians. The father asked her how she could be sure of his trustworthiness in such a short time. She replied, "When I bade him to follow me to our home, he insisted that I walk behind him so he would not observe my form, to avoid sexual attraction." The old man was pleased to hear this. He approached Moses and said, "I wish to marry you to one of my daughters on condition that you agree to work for me for a period of 8 years. This offer suited Moses well, for being a stranger in this country he would soon have to search for shelter and work. Moses married the Midianite's daughter and looked after the old man's animals for 10 long years. Moses becomes a shepherd. Kanik Almighty Allah recounted, "Then there came to him one of the 2 women, walking shyly. She said, 'Verily, my father calls you that he may reward you for having watered our flocks for us.' So when he came to him and narrated the story, he said, 'Fear you not, you have escaped from the people who are Salamine, polytheists, disbelievers, and wrongdoers.' And said one of them, the 2 women, 0 my father, hire him. Verily, the best of men for you to hire is the strong, the trustworthy." He said, "I intend to wed one of these 2 daughters of mine to you, on condition that you serve me for 8 years, but if you complete 10 years, it will be a favor from you. But I intend not to place you under a difficulty. If Allah wills, you will find me one of the righteous." He, Moses, said, "That is settled between me and you. Whichever of the 2 terms I fulfill, there will be no injustice to me, and Allah's surety over what we say." Quran Ayat 28 hours 25 minutes minus 28. The 10 years of preparation time passed, and he lived in seclusion far from his family and his people. This period of 10 years was of importance in his life. It was a period of major preparation. Certainly Moses' mind was absorbed in the stars every night. He followed the sunrise and the sunset every day. He pondered on the plant and how it splits the soil and appears thereafter. He contemplated water and how the earth is revived by it and flourishes after its death. Of course, he was immersed in the glorious book of Allah, open to the insight and heart. He was immersed in the existence of Allah. All these became latent within him. The religion of Moses was the same as that of Jacob, which was Islamic monotheism. His forefather was Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. Moses, therefore,